What's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to episode 3. And I'm pretty stoked. I've got a brand new microphone, a Blue Yeti. I'm stoked. It's awesome. So hopefully the audio is coming through really, really well. Nice, crisp, clean, and clear. Some depressing news. No more petrol motorcycles. Potentially. No more cars for sure. No more petrol cars. But before we get to that news story, and that's going to be the main topic of discussion for tonight, before we get to that, just like in episode 1, episode 2, I've got to start off. Hey, what's up, Punksters? Thanks for stopping in, man. I really do appreciate it. I know it's super, super late over there. So back in February, I did a weekly recap video about, it was about a lot of things, mostly about AMA motocross, a little bit of MotoGP, but in that I did a little section on this news story I found on motorcyclenews.com, which is UK-based motorcycle website, and it was about no more petrol cars come 2035. And it was a bit of news at the moment because their original deadline was 2040 and they backed it down 5 years. So that's what we're going to talk about because it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And before we get into that, though, I gotta play my two-stroke intro. And this one I want to dedicate to the Environmental Protection Agency, which is a federal government agency here in the United States. That sometimes I swear they exist to protect us innocent Americans from two strokes. All right. Those are like motorcycle unicorns for me. I've never seen one in real life, and thus I've never heard one in real life, and I'll probably never get to ride one in real life. I feel by the time any kind of opportunity to see one of those in real life rolls around, they'll be dead and gone or in a museum somewhere. All right. So back in February, if you've ever seen any of my weekly recap videos, which I don't do anymore, I've kind of replaced those with these live streams. And back in February of this year, I talked about a story. And essentially, and I don't know if this is just a United Kingdom thing or if this is a European Union thing. I think it's just in the UK, which probably might affect Ireland and Scotland. I don't know. But at the end of the day, the UK has decided there will be no new petrol cars or van sales in 2035. Now that was originally 2040, and then in February it became news because they accelerated the program 5 years to 2035. Well, they've accelerated the program again. It hasn't even been a year. It's almost been a year, 10 months. So in 2030, you will no longer be able to buy a fossil fuel burning car or van in the UK. Come to Japan. They are still on the roads. Heck yeah, what's up, Sean? I would love to go to Japan. I don't know. This is just now here in the United States. This wouldn't fly at least for not some time. I don't know how far the United States is behind the UK. Maybe this will fly in California. But we still run big old diesel trucks down drag strips. It's this would not work in the United States for a long time to come. I would say at least 10 to 15 years. The United States is behind the rest of the world when it comes to these kinds of things. But this is really heartbreaking to me. I can't even imagine going to a car dealer or a motorcycle dealer, and there's nothing on the showroom floor but batteries and electric motors. It's frightening to me. Now, I don't believe this actually includes motorcycles, or at least the government in the UK has not outright said that motorcycles are included in this petrol ban. Ireland is 2040 still. Oh, thank God, Guerrilla Biker. But if the EU pushes 2030, then Ireland will do it. Oh, God, I hope not, man. I hope not. You guys are going to have to move over here, man. Just a big money-making scam. Punkster, I totally agree. So this was the thumbnail for the video I did back in February. And we were talking about Eli Tomac and the Supercross Championship and so on and so forth. But in that video, I talked about this exact story. But back then, it was pushed from 2040 to 2035. Now it's 2030. Who knows what's going to be next year? And they're not saying anything about bikes yet. But that doesn't mean anything, because 2 years out, 2028, if they wanted to say, hey, guess what? We just included bikes in this ban, they could do it. And who's going to do anything about it? Nobody. Nobody's going to do anything about it. Here in the United States, we have lobbyists for things that we care about. If you're a gun owner, there's the NRA. If you're a motorcyclist, it's the AMA, American Motorcycle Association. I don't think they have lobbying power to stop something like this, but I don't know. You can still buy a horse and a carriage. Time to go electric. No, Sean, I'm not doing it. I know you got a Tesla. I'm not doing it. No way. At least not for my motorcycle. And I want to talk more about electrics. In this episode, we're going to talk about, I'm going to drop some knowledge on you guys, thermodynamics. I'm going to tell you why electrics will never take over the world. At least that's my hope. That's what I dream about. Anyway, this was a capture from motorcyclenews.com talking about that petrol ban back in February. And back then, motorcycles were explicitly not to be part of it, I think. But that may have changed. Oh, man. All right. What does it mean for motorcycles? This is an interesting one here. So they did a study in Belgium, and this was in the original article back in February. Money talks. If the money men stand to make alpha, yeah, you know what? You're right. I agree with Sean. Oh, Tasha, time for a Tesla. No way, no way. Punkster, you're right. Money makes this world go round, not love. Money first, maybe love second, maybe third. I don't know, but money definitely talks. Unfortunately, we live in an economic ran world. But this was a study in Belgium, and they found that just 10% of cars were replaced by motorcycles in our most congested cities. Then congestion would be reduced by a massive 40%. You only have to replace 10% of the cars, and you cut down 40% of the emissions. Come on, man. Come on, people. This should be easy. The other thing that really kind of bothers me is they're offering incentives. There's a €1,500 incentive to go electric. Why not offer a €1,500 incentive for somebody who doesn't own a motorcycle? Offer them an incentive to switch from a car to a motorcycle, even if it's just for commuting. Now, there are some people that shouldn't even be driving cars, and I would hate to see them on a motorcycle. That would be dangerous. But there's got to be plenty of people that would be just fine on a motorcycle. And, you know, I just don't get it. I don't get it. All right, so here's something else that's happening in Europe that's really, really sad to me. Euro 4 emission specs have already killed off the Hayabusa, among other bikes I may not even know about, but we lost the R6. The R6 is no longer going to be sold as a bike that can be registered on the street and ridden on the street and plated and all that good stuff. And it's just... New biker, what's up? I totally agree. I don't know what has to be done, but something has to be done this week. This is going to snowball and get carried away, and that's one of the things that I'm really worried about. But the fact that they can't, I mean, I know in Europe that the full fairing bikes are maybe losing a little bit of popularity, and so sales are probably dropping a little bit. But if it was easy for them to meet Euro 5 specs, I don't think they would drop the bike from production for street use. I just don't believe that they would do that. There's still people that would buy them. And as long as they're going to make money, they would still produce them. But no more. No more. I think part of it is the sales drop, but also the fact that there's no real good plan for them to make these 600 size crotch rockets Euro 5 spec friendly. I mean, they're just struggling. Kawasaki, I talked about it last week. Kawasaki is failing to meet Euro 5 spec for their 2020 new models, which every manufacturer puts out a new model in 2021 has to meet the Euro 5 spec. Oh man, it's just sad. It's just sad how some of these new legislations are just killing off really great motorcycles. I think I predict that in about another decade, we're going to see a mass migration of Europeans to the United States where you can still buy a fossil fuel burning 600. You can still buy big old 1-ton diesel trucks. Here's some more details about the R6 that I thought was really interesting. Maybe you guys already knew this, but like the Yamaha chip controlled throttle, that's their ride-by-wire technology. That was introduced on the 600 in 2006. I did not know it was around that long. I thought that it was much newer than that. I mean, if I had to guess, I would have guessed like 2012. That would have been my guess. So it's just crazy. Did you not see full electric motorcycle at Pikes Peak Race? Was it not cool? I did see them at the Pikes Peak Race. They had full electric cars, full electric cars. In fact, the speed record holder, I believe, was either a BMW or no, it's a Volkswagen. Volkswagen made an electric car, and they currently hold the speed record for the race up to the top of Pikes Peak. So for you guys that don't know, Pikes Peak is a 14,000 plus foot mountain. Right here in my backyard, I can step outside and see it. And they have a race up to the top annually. It's pretty sketchy. Gorilla Biker, that would be what you guys call a road race. It is not a track. They literally close the road to the public, race up to the top of the mountain, and it's sketchy as all get out because there are no guardrails. Drop-offs are pretty much death. It's probably the closest thing to something like the Isle of Man. And Volkswagen, I'm pretty sure it's Volkswagen, built an electric car. They smashed the record. They are the current record holder. There was a couple of electric bikes. They are cool. But I'm going to talk to you about why they're going to fail and why they're not cool. And it has to do with the range and why the range is limited and will always be limited. But what was I going to say? Oh, that was where I saw the V4R. Pikes Peak. I'm not going to repeat that. Show it. I'm showing your posts, Gorilla Biker, your chat messages. Some of them got they required me to hit the show button, but I totally agree with you. Oh man, it was hard for me to ride at a normal pace up the mountain. I didn't realize I was so sketchy on heights, man. That's a gnarly ride just to cruise up there. I cannot believe they race up it. It's intense. But I don't remember the guy's name. Wait a second. I think I do. Carl Dune. He was racing the new V4R Street Fighter. It hadn't been released yet. It was still prototype. And unfortunately, he had a crash near the top. He was on pace to shatter the record. I don't really know exactly what happened, but he crashed, lost his life in that crash, unfortunately. But that's just how dangerous that road race is. That's like a real road race by Ireland definitions, right? Scotland, England. No, it's not a track. It's pretty gnarly. Okay, I'm about to drop some knowledge on you guys right now. Hopefully there's no thermodynamic engineers out there that are going to make me look stupid. Here's why I think electric cars and bikes, electric vehicles, will always have serious range constraints that make them impractical for like the road trip I did out to California. There's no way you're going to do that on an electric bike. It's just not going to happen. And it would take twice as long because you have to stop and charge. Now, bear with me. We're gonna get all knowledge dropping on you guys here in a second. So the law of conservation of energy. also known as the first law of thermodynamics. Basically, what it says is that energy of a closed system must remain constant. All right. We all know what the word constant means. If you're a software engineer, you know exactly what that means. We use constants all the time. So our universe is considered a closed system. And that means all of the energy in the universe has been constant since the beginning and will be constant to the end of the universe. It never changes. You cannot create or destroy energy. It only transforms. So why is this important? What the hell am I talking about? The reason why it's important is because you will never be able to create a vehicle that can produce more energy than it uses. And this is going to be the limitation of an electric vehicle for all eternity. Unless we discover something we didn't know, which is entirely possible because humans are pretty stupid. We're pretty awesome, but we're also pretty stupid. So, but for now, let's just assume that the scientists got this one right. That in a closed system, energy remains constant. So with that, and the universe being a closed system, you cannot create energy. You cannot create more energy from the energy you're consuming, right? So for example, a battery takes chemical energy and transforms it to electricity. It didn't create the electricity. The energy was already there. It was in the chemical reaction inside the battery. It just gets transformed. Gets transformed to, from chemicals to electric. And then you can say, well, but where does all that electricity go? Well, your lights come on. Those light bulbs get hot. They generate heat. Heat is energy. It's a thermal type of energy. So you go from a chemical to an electrical to a thermal. That energy was always there. Those chemicals always contained what they contained. You didn't create anything. You just transformed it. And thus, every electrical vehicle will always need to stop and get its battery charged. Right now, you take the best motorcycle out there, the best electric motorcycle. I think the range is somewhere around 200 miles. I don't know what that is in kilometers, but it's not far enough for me. Electric bikes are actually insanely efficient energy-wise. Now, I totally agree with you. It's just their ability to carry enough energy is the problem. Yep. You can't, those batteries are heavy, man. Petrol bikes and cars are actually bloody terribly. Yeah, totally. They are totally inefficient. But, New Biker says 320 kilometers. What bike is that, New? 320. Oh, that's how many 200 miles is. Gotcha. Thank you for that conversion. I appreciate it. 200 miles. 200 miles is nothing. It's nothing. That's only a couple of hours, 2.5 hours or so. It depends on how heavy you are with the right hand. But the point is, I don't think they're ever going to get to a point where they can pack enough energy in a battery pack to carry or propel a car or a motorcycle, 500 miles, and then be able to charge it in 5 minutes. And while a petrol vehicle and while, the internal combustion engine, which by the way, has remained exactly the same since its original design, 150 to whatever, however many years ago it was. It in design, it hasn't changed. Sure, we've made it out of different metals, aluminum, steel, iron. We've got different types of heads that we put on the engine, different ways to actuate valves, lifters, overhead cams. We've done all kinds of different things, but at the end of the day, you're dumping fuel in there, pistons are moving up and down, and things are exploding, and that force is turning something in a transmission, which is eventually connected to some wheel that's propelling you down the road. They haven't changed. They're horribly inefficient. Guerrilla Biker's 100% right. But I can go a lot farther and refill my gas tank in a couple of minutes. And until you can get that kind of practicality out of an electric bike, without ruining the battery because you charge the shit out of it in 5 minutes, they're just never going to they're never going to appeal the masses. There's always going to be a segment of the population that's sure whatever, but you're not going to get everybody. And there's more to it than that, but I think that's going to be something that I don't see them ever being able to overcome. It's the laws of physics, man. Thermodynamics. You can't do it. All right, Gorilla Biker, thank you. Yeah, definitely get to bed, man. It's late over there. Scotland will never have good infrastructure for charging. This may well war in London, but not work. Yeah, I agree, Punkster. That is never going to work in the rural areas. Man, I just dread the idea. The cost of the infrastructure to get that up and running. It's just none of it makes any sense. No altitude sickness for your ride. That's right, Sean. Yeah, no altitude sickness. My bike actually did run. I noticed a difference. People don't realize it. They think because of all the electronics and the fuel injection that your bike's going to auto-correct for the altitude change. But unless you have an O2 sensor and unless you have the electronics to do that for you, it doesn't. My bike ran like crap when I got to the top of Pikes Peak. It was horrible. It was easily noticed. The theory is being redefined. 500-mile car this year and 15-minute charging. That's not bad. That's not bad. But I wonder how long that battery lasts. How many 15-minute charges can you get out of that thing before you start to see your mileage, your range, not your mileage, but your range. You start to see your range drop off, right? As that battery gets charged and recharged and recharged and recharged over and over and over and over. You know, from them days with those RC cars, the runtime is going to drop off. You're not going to get 500 miles. You're going to get 455, then 450, and then a couple of years into it, you're going to have to replace that battery. How much is that going to cost? And what's the carbon footprint? So, all right, guys, that's it for me tonight. I had more stuff I wanted to talk about. I had this whole thing about MotoGP and how the hell did Suzuki and Johan Mir win the championship? Nobody. I don't care what you say. Nobody predicted that. But many hours go into preparing for these live streams, and I didn't get it quite prepared for tonight. So maybe next Saturday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you haven't already, give me the thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, first time you've seen one of these streams, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button so you know next time I upload. These live streams are every Saturday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I may consider changing that. Leave a comment. I know it's hard to pick a time that the international community can attend, but leave a comment. I'm always open to ideas. So, Jixer Joe 92, how are you doing? Damn, I missed out. I'm gonna be checking your Jixer bits tonight. Oh, cool, man. There's only one right now. I'm working on the Jixer this weekend actually, and we're gonna get her up and running. See you later, new biker. It was good being here. Time good. All right, man. Good night, Punkster. I know it's super late, man. Sleep in tomorrow. Just wait when he posts a video of his new electric. No, Tasha, that is not happening. I'm not doing it, man. I'm going to hold out. It's just like the 4-stroke and 2-stroke thing, man. I'm holding out. Off to bed now. Good night, Punkster. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for stopping by, Jixer Joe. And thank you, Sean. I appreciate it, man. It's going to get better. I need to upgrade my camera. Upgrade my camera. Resolution is not so great. But I'm going to call it a night, guys. I'm going to end the stream. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see everybody next Saturday night at 5 MST. And yeah, take care. Keep the rubber side down. Don't get an electric bike yet. All right. See you guys later. Bye.